A very, very good day to you. I hope you had yourself an amazing, amazing Monday. It is the 4th of November 2024, 1915 East African time. And of course, this is the Black Hot Fire Network, the media of the 21st century, the Black Hot Fire Radio. And I'm here to tell you about it and everything that was making headlines in Africa. Today and over the weekend, we're going to be looking at, among other things, the US elections and why the US elections are making headlines in Africa. Maybe it's because the US is perhaps the most advanced economy. I don't know. But we're going to be looking at what Africans are thinking about the US, the coming US election. Larry Madowo was in Africa today, was in Kenya some part of the day, and he was talking about, he had street interviews on people and on what they thought about the upcoming elections. And what he figured out was that most Africans are actually supporting Donald Trump. This video is courtesy of Larry Madowo.
His mind. They're aware of his more controversial comments, reportedly having called some African nations countries, but they know where they stand with him. And for many religious Africans as well, they're attracted to his opposition to abortion, to LGBT rights. Many Africans also know that Kamala Harris has Jamaican heritage, therefore her roots trace back to Africa. But they even know that she's been traveling in Africa as VP to Ghana, to Zambia, and to Tanzania. But there's just a certain attraction to Donald Trump, the myth of the successful businessman, and that is just another reason why they're more attracted to the candidacy of Donald Trump, and they think he'll be a better president for Africa.
Larry Madowo, thank you very much.
In Africa. And
that was Larry Madowo in Nairobi. And from what he saw is that majority of Africans are actually supporting a Trump presidency. Majorly, I would say it comes from, of course, most Africans are Christians and they are religious, and of course, some of the things that Kamala is proposing, such as the abortion, the abortion, the whole talk about abortion does not sit well in most of the religious people's mind. So that is why majority of them are supporting Trump, of course, because he looks like he has more of a stance against some of those things that do not sit well with them. Among them, the issue of abortion, the issue of LGBTQ, the issue of the fact that if you look at the side that Kamala Harris is leaning on, it is more of the side that advocates for those things. So personally, I think that's the main reason why majority of Africans are supporting Trump, even though their votes won't count. Of course, they are not going to vote, even though they claim that Kamala Harris is an African from a Jamaican ancestry. Majority of Africans do not support her. So the elections are going to be held tomorrow. I can't wait to see, as Joby was saying, she can't wait to see the results and the drama that unfolds after. Yesterday was the last day of the presidential campaigns. I might be wrong. Among the things that Trump is really advocating for is stopping illegal immigration once and for all. He says that the US is not going to be invaded anymore, and it is not going to be over-occupied and overrun. He said that the US is not going to be conquered because, according to him, other countries are conquering the US already. He said that he's going to deport millions of immigrants if he's elected, and warned that if Harris wins, every town in America would be turned into a dangerous refugee camp. So one of the core principles in the Trump campaign is the deportation of immigrants, which he has said that if he's elected, he's going to deport millions of immigrants from the US back to where they came from, saying that if Kamala wins, the US is going to be a refugee camp. He said that he's going to provide a new generation of leadership that he feels like the US has lacked for a while now. Kamala, on the other hand, is of course pulling the rope to her side, and on the last day of the campaign, she was with Kerry Washington. That is on Saturday night live. So the elections are going to be tomorrow. We're going to see how it unfolds. Of course, you're going to be here. Of course, just like Joby, I can't wait to see the drama and everything that unfolds from it. I really don't care as much who becomes the president and who doesn't. Um, Trump with wanting to deport migrants, and of course, most of them are going to be Africans. So majority of Nigerians will see their way back to Nigeria in a bit, if Trump wins, because he claims that there are so many migrants that they are almost overrunning the United States of America. He says that his first thing that he's going to do when he gets into power is do away with the deport millions of migrants who've made their way to the US illegally. That is the US election. Let us come back closer to home and look at Uganda, where at least 14 people died in a lightning strike on a refugee camp in Uganda. I didn't know lightning strikes are this lethal. They killed 14 people, including several children, when a lightning struck in a refugee camp in northern Uganda. That is according to the Ugandan police. They say that the victims were residents of the Palabeg settlement camp, which primarily houses people displaced from southern Sudan. So they had been attending a prayer service in a makeshift metallic structure. When the lightning struck on Sunday night, they were praying in a makeshift metallic structure, and the lightning struck the place, and 14 of them died. The camp is on the Uganda side of the country's border with South Sudan, and houses around 80,000 people who have, of course, escaped the wars that are happening in South Sudan, the fighting that is happening in South Sudan. Uganda is in a very not so good place because it's in the middle of so many wars. There's the war in South Sudan. There's the other DRC border with Uganda, where now with the March 23 rebels, they have actually seized a town on the border with Uganda. There is a town, I'm going to be talking about that. So it's finding itself in a very war-ravaged neighborhood with most of its neighbors in war at the moment, and claims that Uganda also, together with Rwanda, are the ones that finance the March 23. That is according to the UN. So 34 people were injured and have been admitted to the hospital, and 14 are dead. I didn't know lightning strikes are this lethal. It looks like they are very lethal. If they can injure around 50 people at once, that is massive energy. It's a massive ball of energy. Anyway, as I was telling you, the M23 rebels have seized a new town on the Ugandan border. There are talks that are going on peace and ceasefire, but the talks are dragging too long. Of course, the talks are not going to materialize to anything. So actually, the M23 rebels are continuing to gain more ground in eastern DRC. They are reportedly backed by Rwanda, and they on Sunday seized a strategic town of Kamandi, that is a town near the Ugandan border. It is located at the banks of Lake Edward, and it's the connection to the city of Beni, DRC. So local media sites, sources on the ground are reporting that forced displacement happened on that city, and now the city is in the hands of the rebels. So they faced off. There was a fighting that happened before. Of course, they took over the town with self-defense fighters that are known as Wazalendo or Patriots, who are allied with the DRC's armed forces, trying to fight off the March 23 rebels, but that was not successful because the M23 rebels are usually very heavily armed. One of the reasons why I don't believe they are armed by Rwanda in any way, because they are very heavily armed, they are very well equipped, and I do not believe Rwanda has the capacity to fund a terrorist group, a rebel group of such, a militia group of such magnitude. Angola has been trying to play the role of a mediator between the two neighbors, but it hasn't been really working. The next meeting they are going to have is on November 16th to try and bring calm and peace to DRC, because the M23 rebels are making sure that DRC is unlivable. Every now and then there has to be deaths, and people have to die. Rwanda and DRC have reportedly agreed on a plan which include the disengagement of military forces and the neutralization of the militia, which included in its ranks fighters who carried out the 1994 Rwanda genocide. So for the fact that Rwanda is sitting up in a meeting to discuss a ceasefire with DRC, while in real sense Rwanda claims that it has nothing to do with the March 23, it's ironical. Then why are you sitting on a table to discuss a ceasefire if you claim that you have nothing to do with the armed group that is terrorizing Congo? Then what are you doing in the discussion table discussing about ceasefires if you're not involved in the actual fire? Common sense. Rwanda is involved in what is happening in the DRC. Are they the financiers? I do not believe they are. I don't believe they have the financial capability to actually sponsor and finance a war. So I do not believe they have the capability to do that. The peace deal is a reach. I don't think it's going to materialize. Angola is doing its best. It's trying all it can to be the mediator and, of course, to have a ceasefire, with the two reportedly agreeing on a plan which will include the disengagement of the militias and the stopping of the fighting. The meeting, which is to be held on November 16th, I do not think it's going to materialize to anything, because you're looking at a war that has lasted the longest, and of course the people who want the war to go on are not yet done with what they wanted the war to go on for. So the peace talks will, of course, be, they would, in my opinion, I do not think they are going to materialize to anything. Angola is just trying its best, but it might not help until we face the real cause of the war. Why are we having a war in the DRC? Unless we address the problem at root, we are not going to solve anything. And addressing the problem at root is asking the question, why are we having a war in DRC? Why have we been having a war in DRC for the longest? And the moment we understand that, then that is the moment that we can start now finding the solution to the war in DRC. The peace talks that we're seeing at the moment are not going to help in anything. It's the same peace talks that we're seeing in Sudan. Sudan is having a peace talk in Geneva. The Sudan Rapid Support Forces against the government allied forces. They're talking about a ceasefire. For how long have they been talking about a ceasefire? Years. Unless we address the real cause of the war in Sudan, the real cause of the war in Somalia, the real cause of the war in DRC, the real cause of the war in Central African Republic, the real cause of the war in Africa, because 75 to 80% of Africa is at war.
Because 75% of Africa is rich and white people want it. That's why. That's why you got wars.
Unless we address that, then there's nothing that you're really doing. The peace talks won't help. They're going to be, they won't help. We can have as many peace talks as we want. We can go to Geneva and have a house there if we want. We're not gonna solve anything. We're not gonna solve anything.
You know what's gonna save? You know what's gonna solve it? When you learn to stop saying, I'm a Calajan, I'm a Kikuyu. You start building a real military, and then start to project power of people that want to enslave and steal your resources. Okay? You know.
Wait, kid, I haven't told you the amount of things. I learned a lot of things on Saturday that I was confused at one point.
I see, I ain't get to see. I see the spiritual show. I said, damn, he should have called my ass on that one. I knocked out. I woke up, sat there in the morning, and just got done with some spiritual stuff. What were you confused about?
I was with Professor Smalls, James. Is it James Smalls or something?
Yeah, Professor Smalls. What about him?
Yeah, so he was doing a lecture on Christianity, and the amount of unlearning one has to do is crazy, man.
Yeah, because remember, James Smalls first started as a Christian. He got rid of that shit. Then he went to Islam. He got rid of that shit. He said, man, I can't. I'm in all these goofy religions that are not African. Then he went to African because he didn't realize all of it came from African science.
But one thing that mesmerized me was that he was not denying the existence of Jesus. He was just saying that.
No, he does now. That's an O. I see it. That's an O. He denies that. He said about Jesus was there. He denies all that. It's hard for them to let.
He says actually, okay, from the lecture that I saw, he was talking about the fact
that's
that
that's he didn't got rid of Jesus now. Finally, they never want to get rid of the Jesus shit. Never.
Because because he said historically, if you look at, I remember he quoted some Roman historians, not from the Bible, like ancient Roman texts that mention.
Yeah, you got to go.
Somebody
You got to go.
just
Exactly. You got to look for it outside. Yeah, you got to look for outside of your religion. But then you go back and realize that the Rome was set and all that. That's all plagiarized. So those are not real texts. Go ahead.
So there were Roman historians such as, I think, Tacitus or something.
He's talking about Josephus. Josephus was a fake.
There's Flavius Josephus and there's Tacitus.
It's fake. It's fake, Demore. It's fake. You ask, it's fake. Josephus is fake. He finally learned that. You go back through that. Josephus is fake. That's somebody that they created to make the religion, to give credibility to the religion. Josephus is fraudulent, Demore. It's fraudulent. There's no fucking Josephus. It's all fraudulent.
Yeah. So it's talking about Josephus, who wrote about Jesus 86 years after crucifixion. Also, I think at that point he was saying he did exist as a historical figure, not as a
Josephus. What they saying, Josephus?
I'm saying Jesus.
No, there was no Jesus. He didn't exist either. It's all made up. It's all fraudulent. They keep trying to. No, there was never anybody named Jesus, Yosef, or whatever. They don't call him Jesus. They say there was no J. Oh yeah, it wasn't Jesus. Name was Yahshua. Oh, that old crazy. There was nobody. Nobody. It's all made up. Historically, it's made up. There's no made up. There's no motherfucker walking this earth have a name Yahshua or whatever kind of goofy name they want to give him. Can't give him Jesus because that J didn't exist in the English language, so we know his name wasn't no fucking Jesus. Now they would say, Yeshua or whatever, Jesus, whatever the fuck they want to call it, motherfucker.
Yeah,
all made up.
It was actually a nice show and a very I don't know, it was an eye-opening. I learned a lot of things on that show. The first time I didn't have things to say. I just kept quiet and watched together with the people who were with me.
You watched with who?
No, I'm saying for the first time I was just watching and learning from that. I think I'm going to watch his now recent videos now that you say he has also been on a learning phase and he has learned more things than he knew.
Yeah. He had to get rid of all that shit. But he was scared to get rid of it because of his grandmother. Hard to get rid of the religion with our parents and grandparents all in that shit. So, because he left Christianity and became a Muslim, and he became an imam, which is a Muslim preacher. Yeah, so he became an imam for a few years. He started saying, this shit ain't right either. So, good. Just real quick, Demore. Because he's a public figure. Say, what year was Professor James Small an imam?
He now says he believes in voodoo.
Yeah, you don't believe in it. Voodoo is not a belief. It's spirit. Voodoo is vibration, energy, and frequency. It's not a damn belief in how the universe works.
He said he's a Yoruba priest.
Yeah, so okay, the same shit. It's all the same. All African systems took on different names as they spread throughout the continent. Still all the same shit as from Kemet. Same shit's all the same committee and shit that the Dogons practice, Yoruba practice, Igbo practice. The same shit. Just took on different names as the languages changed and the area in which you settled in Africa. They're the same. The teachers are the same. Shout out to the guy on TikTok who understood that, was putting it back together. That brother, you're brilliant. That young brother on TikTok, realize all this shit is really the same thing. Yeah, it's understanding energy, frequency, and vibration. That's what voodoo is. Like, man, oh, it's evil, it's the devil. No, it ain't, moron. Understand? What is my relationship to energy, frequency, and vibration?
And I think the best line that I heard him say that changed how I view things was that we are the highest version, we are the latest version of our ancestors. And so I have both genomes from my parents. My parents have 4 genomes from their parents, and it goes back to God. So you have the you have God's gene in you, you have the genetic composition of God in you.
Well, you're just an ancestor. Come back again. African knew there was no such thing as death. So every child born was an ancestor return. They knew that this is an illusion. It does not exist. This is an illusion. So, but there's laws to the illusion. So this is the creator spreading his consciousness throughout the universe, having an experience. So the universe, so the creator wanted to experience the creation in the subjective, not the objective. He didn't want to sit back and just, objectively look at something. He wanted to, okay, let me look this up tomorrow real quick. We got time real quick. Do this. Go to YouTube. I'm going to teach you something real quick so you know, to understand how your ancestors knew all this, how your goofy religions are lies. Okay. Go to YouTube real quick and type in the double slit experiment. I'm going to explain this to you. Take your reality. Say the double slit experiment. Let's do the cartoon version. Say the cartoon version of the double slit experiment. I'll explain this to you. This is the nature of reality. That's it. You got to share your screen tomorrow.
You know what I mean?
You just gotta wonder, what is this reality that we find ourselves?
Exactly. So this is with science meets spirituality. Africans understood this. This is science. Can't be spirituality if it's not true. Africans didn't have belief systems. They knew there's knowledge. The religions are beliefs.
Our senses are playing tricks on us. You just gotta wonder, what is this reality that we find ourselves in?
Exactly. What's reality?
The Nick says it's all just waves of information. Do I believe that? I hope no.
But it's the energy.
And here we are, the granddaddy of quantum weirdness, the infamous double slit experiment.
Double slit experiment. Explain this to you.
We first need to see.
I'm gonna let you look at it. I'm gonna see if you can understand what I'm gonna let you look at this tomorrow. And I want you to explain to me what you're looking at after. Go ahead. And I'll explain it to you.
How particles, to understand this experiment, we first need to see how particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right. Now, let's look at waves. The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So when we throw things, that is matter, through two slits, we get two bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands. Good so far. Now, let's go quantum. An electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter, like a tiny marble. Let's fire a stream through one slit. It behaves just like the marble, a single band. So, if we shoot these tiny bits through two slits, we should get, like the marble, two bands. What? An interference pattern. We fired electrons, tiny bits of matter through. We get a pattern like waves, not like little marbles. How? How could pieces of matter create an interference pattern like a wave? It doesn't make sense. But physicists are clever. They thought
As if you know what it is.
the balls are bouncing off each other and creating that pattern. So they decide to shoot electrons through one at a time. There is no way they can interfere with each other.
So I want to understand, when they talk about balls, that means matter. That means you as a person, your body, material world. And so I'm going to show you how there's a God. This is the material world, matter, material. Go ahead. When they say small particles, they mean material, Demore. Go ahead.
Is inescapable. The single electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a particle. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits and it goes through neither. And it goes through just one and it goes through just the other. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. Physicists were completely baffled by this. So they decided to peek and see which slit.
And I want you to understand this, Demore. But he just learned, the white man, the African knew this hundreds of thousands of years ago. Hundreds of thousands of years ago. This is already known. Go ahead.
They put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and let it fly. But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of two bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not a very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided to act differently, as though it was aware it was being watched. It was here that physicists stepped forever into the strange netherworld of quantum events. What is matter? Marbles or waves? And waves of what? And what does an observer have to do with any of this? The observer collapsed the wave function.
My father, Mark, I want you to tell me what's the difference between a particle is in it anyway. Yeah, it didn't hold through the whole thing. So, what's the difference between a particle and a wave?
Yeah, so the difference from what they, when there was one slit and it was just particles that were going through, that is the marbles. Of course, they went through the one slit and you would see them on the other side. When it was two slits, you would see both of them on the other side because they are particles, they do not interfere with each other. But when they used waves, the waves, when they went through one slit, they would
They never
go and
they never use waves. You can't shoot waves, I think. It shows you everything is a waveform, Maury. Everything is non-existent. Everything is an illusion until it's being observed. That it goes back into the physical, into the material. It was showing that everything is a physical, everything is non-physical. Everything exists in a waveform, Demore. That's why when you manifest things, it's a wave of energy, a wave of light come out your head to manifest things back because everything's in a waveform. Nothing actually is real, Demore. You're living in an illusion. That's what this was showing you. This is an illusion. It only turned back into a particle. The particle is not real. The wave is what's real. Until you observe the particle, observe the wave, then it turned into a particle. It acted like a solid thing. That's what he's saying. Until you observed it, then it turned into a solid. Everything's in waveform. That's why they couldn't explain it. What's going on? And then when they observed it, it turned back into a particle. Like, oh shit. Because when they shot it, no one looked at it. All of it was in waveform. Because there is no solid. Everything is wave. Everything is vibration, frequency, and energy. You're in an illusion. So that's why I told you. An atheist look at that and can't figure it out. Mind creates matter, Demore. An advanced mind's doing that. The mind of God, the advanced mind. Mind creates matter. That's why that thing becomes a particle, matter. Mind creates matter. Matter does not create mind. Mind creates matter because it creates it from an illusional state of nothingness. That's reality. The African knew that 1,000. White man just figured that out. Yeah, that'd be like 100 years ago. When that double slit test, I think it was like 1926. African knew that hundreds of thousands of years ago, that this is an illusion. How it works. So it's showing that before anything becomes a particle, it's in wave form first. That's like, so as a man thinketh, he becomes. Everything is waves, or as they got there as forms of opportunity. That's why the African he believes he's the devil and poverty and the Lord, and they believe all that shit. So that creates your reality. Your thoughts create your thoughts are waveforms, Demore. Your thoughts create your reality. So before you observe anything, it's a waveform. Everything is just a wave of energy.
Wow. It was done in 1801, the double slit experiment by Thomas Young.
Done when?
1801.
Well, no, it's not 1801.
That Google has an AI now, so that's what they're claiming on Google, which I don't believe.
That science didn't even exist in the white world yet. Down to the 1900s. It was 1920 something. Say, when was the first double slit experiment done?
The one that are saying 1801.
No, that ain't true. It was 1920 something. It was 100 years ago.
Anyway, family,
So
as we come to the end, Job is coming up in 11 minutes. Make sure you join her, of course. This has been the Black Hot Fire Monday updates. We are looking at everything that was making headlines in Africa today, including the US elections, which are happening tomorrow. Are you going to vote, Kit?
Vote for what?
Vote for change.
Yeah. And vote to change anything and it'd be illegal. That's not.
Change is not vying. Change is not vying, though.
To understand. The same, no, because why would I vote for change? But the same people control both parties and control both people. You got a group of people that control this country, control the world. They control the party, so they're both fake. These are puppets. So the people that are behind the power, people that are behind the scenes, control both candidates. How can you have a different candidate chosen by them, not chosen by any of the people? They're the one. They're the ones running against each other, and they're being backed by the same people. So how the hell is that a change? That's the thing. But anyway, they're already stealing it now anyway, because they do want Camilla to win, because that's their puppet. They still sponsoring Trump, but Trump didn't do enough wars they wanted done. They want all these wars, and the thing is now to finally collapse America. Now they at the point, America's at the teetering. They created the other fake system called BRICS. Hey morons, if you don't know, you dumb Africans, dumb Americans, you think BRICS is an alternative, you're a moron. They created BRICS. Okay? Same people that run America created that shit because they imploding America now. You bring a country, you bankrupt it, they stole all the money out this bitch. That's why they're going to China now. Build China into a power. Get a picture of China, and the bitch, they'll bankrupt China first and break its back and move on to the next carcass. That's what the international bankers do. They started with France and then England and broke England ass and came to America. That's what they do. We think control Russia. We think control. You realize that that's the same bankers that created Russia. They're supposed to be fighting Russia when it was the Soviet Union. Let's see if they get that right. Since Demore's asking about change, do this real quick, Demore. Say, was it the international bankers that created the USSR? See, Google's gonna say you can't go to Africa. They didn't block that because it's gonna be a lie. Google used to tell you, yeah, but now they know you know too much. They completely changed it. Say, was it the international bankers that took over Russia? We know the international bankers, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, they took it over. So I do that it was fighting against America, all is just a lie. They control both countries. What do you get? Say, was it the international bankers that created the USSR?
No, international bankers did not take over Russia, but foreign loans did play a role in the Russian Revolution.
Foreign loans? Who got the loans then? They foreigners. Foreigners means international bankers. They still think you're stupid because that knowledge is known. So, no, it wasn't international bankers, but it was foreign bankers. Listen, what? You just said they played a part. They played the part. These motherfuckers have any money, just like when they took over China. Then it was overthrew the king of China, like I showed Joby. They overthrew the emperor of China. He was a poor, broke-ass gardener at the end. And you find the Rothschild money, the Rocket money, sponsoring Mao Zedong in China. They created China. They overthrew the Tsar of Russia, had his whole family murdered, and they overthrew the goddamn last emperor of China. Overthrew his ass. He died. Can you imagine being the emperor of China and you end up in your life poor, broke, and fucked up as some gardener? And half your people didn't even know no more you used to be the emperor? That's what they did with the emperor of China. Broke his goddamn back. Motherfucker was now some low-budget gardener and shit. All broken, poor and shit. It was the last emperor of China. They overthrew his ass and got him out the box. Like they did with Russia. And shout out to the guy who got it right. He told the truth. Yeah, the Rothschilds got mad because the Tsar of Russia, the king, the Tsar means, that's what they call the king. The Tsar of Russia said, we're not never allowing no Rothschild bank in no Russia. And the Rothschild sort of, we're going to murder you and your whole goddamn family. This is historical fact. They told the Tsar in his face, we're gonna murder you and your whole goddamn family. Maybe not today, but maybe not tomorrow, but soon. It took him 80 years and his grandson was on the throne, Tsar Nicholas, and they murdered the whole fucking family. As Amari just said, oh, it was foreign bankers. Yeah,
Look,
foreign bankers called the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. And put their puppets in there. And you think Russia was an enemy of America when they controlled both places from behind the scene? It's ready to huh?
that is you saying you are not going to vote for change. Fuck change. Fuck the election.
Vote for change.
I don't
Not,
change was lying.
not unless I'm sponsoring a revolution, the more you get no change. Because they control both people. So what change am I getting? None.
Okay.
And then and anybody does real change ends up with a bullet in their head. Like John F. Kennedy, the last real president America ever had. They murdered him in broad daylight, the Moray, in 1963, blew his goddamn head off. So, don't tell me about no damn change. That's that shit Obama said. Change your, only thing Obama wanted to change was your penis to a coochie.
Anyway, family. Join Jovi in a minute. She's already here to enjoy the rest of your day. I always appreciate much.
All right, that was change you can believe in. Change your penis to a coochie, your coochie to a